It might be too late to do it though.
Hey.
Way to cut down the program 20%. Hello, everyone. Sorry I wasn't able to get on earlier.
You're the technology guy too.
Well, I've been Zooming all day today, and I think I have too many accounts going in and out, and can only handle so much, I guess. It started smoking and everything.
Yeah.
Anna's muted.
How about now? Am I muted now?
Oh, good.
Okay. I'm sorry to keep you all waiting. It is 7:03, and we are expecting, what was it, about 90 participants? We have 52 now. So we still have a few to go, but let me tell you that I have it set to mute participants as they join. I've unmuted I'm sorry, I've set the attendees to be muted. I've unmuted the candidates. And if your video is on, if you wouldn't mind, if you're not a candidate and not speaking, if you wouldn't mind just turning your video off, that will save some, hopefully some bandwidth. The time is limited, and this is, of course, a new format. So we've gotten several questions. I expect not all questions will be asked. So if your question is not asked, you're encouraged to contact your candidate directly. We'll be keeping an eye on the time. Carol Estecchi is going to be our timekeeper. You will see her as the candidates get close to their time. Our moderator is Mr. Norm Styer, who is a Loudoun Valley High School graduate. He has worked more than 30 years covering Loudoun County as a reporter, editor, and publisher. After graduating from Penn State in 1988, he joined the staff of the Loudoun Gazette. 6 months later, he was hired as the first full-time reporter at Leesburg Today, where he specialized coverage of development issues. He was named editor of the paper in 1997 and publisher in 2006. After Leesburg Today was sold and closed in 2015, Mr. Styer joined a group of community investors to launch LoudounNow to continue that brand of community journalism. And before I continue, I am just going to share my screen briefly. And you should be able to see it. If you can't yet, you will shortly. These are the deadlines for our upcoming election. You can, from now until October 13th, register to vote or update your registration at vote.elections.virginia.gov. You can also request an absentee mail-in ballot online or by mail between now and October 23rd at 5 p.m. Absentee ballots will be mailed beginning September 18th. Voting early in person will begin also on September 18th and run through October 31st. Additional satellite locations will be open on October 17th. You can also request an absentee ballot in person by October 31st at 5 p.m. And you can return your completed ballot to the general registrar between when you receive it, which I put down as September 18th, and November 3rd at 7 p.m. You can also vote in person, of course, between 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Election Day, November 3rd. If you have additional questions about the election, Loudoun has a website for that, https://www.loudoun.gov/November election. And for information on your candidates, we recommend that you visit vote411.org. Let's see. Thank you for your patience as I figure this out. And I'm going to now turn this over to Norm and mute myself.
Okay. Thanks, League, for inviting me to participate, and thanks for the candidates for not only coming here tonight, but for volunteering or to their willingness to serve our community. It looks like Ara is still muted, so we probably want to get to that. Make sure that's fixed. And I think the timer is going to be assigned, so at least the candidate should be on a gallery view, so you'll be able to see her holding up that sign. So that's going to be important. So this is a time when these candidates would normally be out knocking on doors and meeting people in person. I know I prefer when we can do the forums in person. They're really great when we can do them one of the downtown breweries or something like that, and we can all get together and share some ideas. But I hope that Leesburg is still a small enough town that you all have all met these candidates before, somewhere in your wanderings at the grocery store or downtown or even the council chambers. But if not, tonight's the night we're going to hopefully introduce you, share some ideas, and make that introduction. There's some questions that we came up with. There's some questions that were submitted by people in the community. Most of them overlap. Hopefully we'll get a broad spectrum in tonight in a forum that typically goes fairly quick. And I think we're gonna start with introductions. So what we do is we go in the order that people are on the ballot. And then each time we're going the same rotation, but we'll always start with somebody else to answer the first question first. So sort of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 thing sequence. So it goes Kelly Burk, Ron Campbell, Zachary Cummings, Ara, Bill, and Kari. So that'll be the rotation. So I guess we start with 1-minute introductions, opening statements, starting with Kelly, and then going to Ron.
Do I start? Okay. Good evening, members of the League of Women Voters. And thank you very much for organizing this event tonight. This is really great. My name is Kelly Burk, and I am the mayor of Leesburg. I have had the honor to be the mayor of Leesburg for the last 4 years, and I would like to ask for your support for re-election in 2020. Many of you know me since I have lived here since 1979. I raised my sons here, and they went to the public schools that prepared them well to have a successful university experience. And my husband worked at the giant food store when it was at the Office Depot, for those of you who remember that. I taught special education classes at Loudoun County High School for 34 years. And in 2002, I was awarded Woman of the Year for Education. I was the president of the Loudoun Education Association for 4 years, and I've served on many town and county boards and commissions before being elected to the town council, the board of supervisors, and of course, mayor. Economic development has been my hallmark since I've been mayor, and economic stability will continue to be my major initiative. Regional budgets, increased diversity, collaboration with regional players, public art.
1 minute goes quick.
And other things of that nature will be my agenda for next year. So thank you very much for being here, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Okay, Ron.
All right.
You can all see 1 minute goes pretty quickly, so.
Thank you to League of Women Voters, Loudoun County, for this opportunity tonight. This year's election for mayor is about choice. Moving forward with a new vision or struggling to maintain the unsustainable present. The last 4 years, I've become even more involved in our Leesburg community. I've heard the desires of our diverse community to live in a town that works for everyone. I've heard the dreams, the small business dreams, the affordable home ownership dreams, and the good local paying job dreams, things that we all need to achieve. My finance and administrative background can help those dreams become a reality. My work as a volunteer with many of our local nonprofit organizations, I believe supports my ability to bring partnerships and coalitions that are the lifeblood of our town. My name is on the ballot for mayor because I believe that choice is essential in this election and for our town. Choice is the path to change. Choice is the path to get a new vision. I hope that I can earn your vote on November 3rd to be that choice.
Zachary, then Ara.
Wonderful. Hello, I am Zach Cummings. I'm a candidate for Leesburg Town Council. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and thank you to the Loudoun League of Women Voters for organizing this event. I'm running for Leesburg Town Council because our town needs a fresh approach now more than ever. We're growing at a rapid pace because people and businesses want to be here. The Town Council's job is to act as a board of directors for Leesburg. A board of directors must cast a vision for our town and set the staff in their direction to take Leesburg forward. As a council member, I will work to help our small businesses survive and thrive through our current health crisis. I will work to ensure smart growth here in Leesburg, growth that is revenue generating for our taxpayers with a look that fits what makes Leesburg special. Finally, I will work to end the gridlock on town council that's keeping many good ideas from being debated. Our challenges over the next decade are not greater than our strength to overcome them. Our town has witnessed the American Revolution, been caught in the crossfire of the Civil War, stood on the forefront for the fight for equality and civil rights, and has worked to adapt to our current realities. I look forward to answering your questions and earning your vote in November. Thank you.
Ara, then Bill.
Thanks, Norman. Hi, my name is Ara Bagdasarian, and I'm running for town council for one simple reason, and that is because I care. I care about my neighbors, I care about the business community, I care about the future of Leesburg. And my background as an entrepreneur, a CEO, working in emergency management and public safety, a president of a number of nonprofit organizations in the community, and as the former chairman of the Economic Development Commission for the town for almost 8 years, I believe I have a unique perspective and position to help guide the town through the challenges that we face in the near future. And the good news is that I view challenges as opportunities to innovate. And I know that everyone on here, all the candidates that are attending and all the folks attending from home care. So let's work together to come up with creative solutions to help our community adapt, recover, and ultimately thrive through this situation, come out even stronger at the end. So thank you.
Bill, then Kari.
Thanks, Norm. And thank all of you who are here tonight. I'm Bill Replogle. I've lived in Leesburg for 30 years now. And if ever there's been a time when our town, our country, and our world need to come together to solve the problems facing us, it is now. We've got to end the divisiveness and partisan politics and put our heads together to address the issues confronting us. Public health, economic prosperity, racial injustice, and let's not forget climate change. These are mission critical both nationally and locally. We've got to revitalize our local economy ASAP without jeopardizing public health. We've got to be smart about how we grow without losing our small town charm. We've got to preserve our precious green space like West Park without burdening our taxpayers. We've got to always be working on how to make Leesburg the best place to live, work, raise a family, and enjoy life. Let's do it together. Thanks.
Okay, Kari.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event, to all of the attendees, and to Mr. Styer for moderating. My name is Kari Nacy, and I was born and raised right here in the town of Leesburg. In fact, my husband Matt and I are raising our daughter and 2 rescue beagles just down the street from where I grew up. I'm running for council this year to continue to serve this town and its residents who I love so dearly. Now more than ever, with our current public health and economic crisis, we need effective leadership and common sense solutions that can produce real results for our town. As chair of the Planning Commission, as a wife, mother, small business owner, and lifelong Leesburg native, residents can take comfort in knowing that I've always had their back, and I always will. If elected, I'll fight to make sure that our town gets back on its feet, that our future is bright, and that Leesburg will always remain the best place in Northern Virginia to live, work, and raise a family. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to start with the questions. We'll start off slow, and remember, we're going to go in the same order, just starting in a different place each time. So we're going to go to Ron first, and this one is: what is your top priority if you're elected or re-elected during this term? Ron's muted.
I think the host needs to unmute.
I want someone else to start. He wants Zach to go into it. We can go back to him.
All right, Zach, let's try that.
Sure. My top priority if I'm elected is our small businesses, whether they're downtown or throughout the town of Leesburg. The number one priority before COVID-19 and now during and after COVID, we're able to get it under control, is our small businesses. They're the lifeblood of our economy. So I want to work with our great economic development team in the town and engage our small businesses and get them working together and communicating and looking at ways that we can market our own businesses outside of Leesburg, but also in Leesburg. And we have to fight for them. You know, in the last 2 days, I've seen a number of businesses announce that they're not reopening. I've seen a number of business owners come to me and talk to me about you know, the struggle that they're enduring and whether they can last another 3 or 4 months. We've got to be proactive. We've got to get together as a council and work together to put a vision out that lifts up our small businesses and helps them survive. And you know, I want to work with Mr. Seymour at the town. He's a great asset, and we have to put him to work, and we got to get him some more money in the budget to get to work more, because a budget is nothing but priorities, and our small businesses should be priority number one for our citizens and for our government.
I can hear you now, Ron.
Okay, thank you. There's no doubt that the impact of COVID-19 is our top priority. As widely, probably not advertised to everybody to know, you know, between last year and this year, and it will be continuing years, we're almost at a $15 million deficit that has to have a recovery plan. We don't have a recovery plan, and we need one. As much as we want to care about our businesses, we also have to look at our services and our programs, our tax rates, and that's not going to come without some strategy. So we have to create a new comprehensive 5-year plan to the next 2 or 3 budget cycles that really begin to address where we put our economic strength, how we gain additional revenue. And the reality of it is that we have to do either the same or more with less. So what are our priorities for cuts? If people don't want to talk about cuts, I realize it's not a topic that people are happy about, but we are going to have to tighten up. People have lost jobs. 25% of our businesses will be lost. We're a hotel and hospitality industry town, so our small restaurants and businesses and hotels, staff is laid off, and it won't be enough just to have an economic recovery plan that depends upon what the state does or what the federal government does. Leesburg has to be creative, and we have to come together as a community. We have to look at our stakeholders and what feedback they may have for creative ideas, as well as our town staff. This doesn't fall on the council's shoulders alone. We have to treat this as a community crisis that it is. We have to speak to it, not be afraid to speak to it. And I do believe that there are many partners, our businesses, small and large, again, members of our community and the different commissions that we have can be employed to help us chart a path forward.
All right.
Great, thank you. Yeah, once again, I think that the priority right now, which is absolutely mission critical, is adapting to the current situation, planning for recovery, and then ultimately getting back to where we were and coming out even stronger than we were before. And that really requires engaging the brain power of our community. We have a very, very smart community, well-educated community, folks that have a lot of great ideas. And a few of us, the mayor and Zach, for example, we hosted a number of small business forums, especially with the independent restaurant owners. And we're discussing what are some ideas that we can work on together? What can the town do to help enable with infrastructure the challenges that you're facing right now, because it's about survival right now and families and livelihoods. So working together with the small business community and expanding our infrastructure for entrepreneurship. We've done a lot of work with economic development, the town, the county, the Small Business Development Center, the Enterprise Center, to really build this support system for entrepreneurship. So I normally don't talk about economic development, it's really about economic opportunity. And so how can we create opportunities from the situation we are given right now? And there are opportunities in there. We just need to figure that out and really put our heads together to come up with creative solutions.
Bill?
Thanks, Norm. I agree with Zach and Ara that revitalizing our local economy in the wake of the pandemic is a priority right now. Their small business roundtables have been great. I've also talked to local business owners and restaurateurs and retailers. And we need to work with our fellow council members in a productive way and economic development to forge a dynamic plan to address the issues with creative solutions, like we're already doing with dining and parking lots and closing down King Street at times, and other creative ideas. You know, First Friday has always been a great draw for both the residents and visitors to Leesburg. We need to revitalize that and perhaps expand it to every Friday. But as Ara said, we need good creative thinking. We need to engage the community and work together to solve this problem. It's a priority to get the small business revitalized and back on track.
Kari?
Thank you. So I will echo some of what you've heard already. Number one priority for me would absolutely be COVID-19 recovery. You know, it's hard to say right now what that looks like exactly because we're not out of it, right? And this is going to affect our budget and the deficit for several, years to come. So we've really got to put a big picture, long-term plan in place to not only help our small businesses and our town, recover our people, but as other people said, think of creative new ways for opportunities and bringing revenue generating pieces into town to help make up for that deficit. We will need to tighten up a little bit. We're going to have a big picture look at the budget and where we can make things a little leaner in order to help recover. I've spent a lot of time over the course of the last few weeks meeting with local business owners, and some of the things that I've heard that I feel like we could really help with on town council would be cutting the red tape a little bit, when they need things done to help their businesses get on their feet quicker. If we could relook at our processes, do some, process reengineering to try to help things move through quicker so that they can, see the benefits of those things faster. It will really be a priority to sort of look at all of those things, big picture for me, and come up with a plan to make sure that we can survive, over the next 3 years and then come out on top.
Okay, Kelly?
Well, I have to tell you, this is extremely exciting for me to hear that everybody has the economic recovery as the number one priority. That is really wonderful to hear because our small businesses really do make the backbone of our community. And we are very fortunate here in Leesburg because we do have something called the Hub Zone. And those are minority-owned businesses that get some 3% of the contracts from the federal government. Those businesses are doing very well. And in talking with them, they would like to help the businesses that are struggling. And so I would like to create a task force that would involve all sorts of different businesses to get them together. But I'd also like to include the nonprofits and the faith communities. Right now, they're serving the needy and the people in Leesburg that don't have what they need, whether it's food or clothes or groceries. And so to get all of these people together in a room and talk about what is going to make the difference, how can we change? Everybody's talked about great creative ideas and what a fountain of knowledge we have in the community, and that is exactly right. So I want very much like to be able to harness that and bring it forward. The other thing, it took 10 years for us to get back to a pre-recovery after the Great Recession of 2008. We don't want to do that again. We've got to do this much more efficiently and much more swiftly. And so getting this whole idea of the task force brought forward, I think is going to be something that we need to do right away. I want to make sure that we also remember that we have responsibilities to our citizens in providing services. And so we need to be very careful in regard to our budget and what it is going to look like and what we are doing. And all of that's going to come together. And I'm very excited that all of us agree that we definitely need to come up with a plan, and we need to make sure that we're working together to accomplish this. Thank you.
All right, next question will start with Zach. You can go down there, go around. And yes, government can have a big impact on a small town or our town. So what's one thing the town government has done that's made you proud that you live in Leesburg? And what's something that's been done that causes you concern? Maybe it was a mistake or something different should have happened.
Yeah, something that, I mean, that's made me proud to be a resident here in Leesburg is the quick reaction of council to when, you know, we found out there was funds available from the federal government through the state into the county for our small businesses, that the council acted very quickly to line up the program and begin to disperse that money as soon as possible, because we all knew that it was the most important thing to bridge the gap for some of these businesses were those funds. And so that was that was good to see the council come together. You know, sometimes the roadblocks get thrown up, but that was one instance where there were no roadblocks, that they worked together and got it done. You know, really something that, you know, government that, you know, makes me upset. It's just the idea that you can sit on council and debate these issues and disagree with one another and not do it in a non-disagreeable way. I really want to see the council come together and work together as a unit to lead the town forward, and not let personalities and politics get involved and mar the great work that they're doing, because everyone on council has the best intentions and everyone wants to do the best for the town of Leesburg and our citizens. But we've got to put aside the petty politics of today to move through and lead our town forward, because we have an incredible opportunity. Even through this, through the health crisis and the COVID-19, you know, I was born and raised in the Midwest, and if my hometown had half the opportunity that Leesburg has, they would be in a much different situation. So we've got to harness that opportunity, work together, and get things done.
All right.
Okay, well, actually, if you don't mind, I have two positive things for Mr. Campbell and Mayor Burk. I think one thing that the town did recently, which I strongly applaud, is hiring an emergency manager. And what timing? I mean, it's right before we had I think tornado rip through town, and then we have COVID on our hands. And I think that was an important thing. I mean, public safety should always be top of mind, and it is certainly with me. And secondly, one thing that I'm proud of as well is the downtown improvements process. Going back to way back in the old days, back when I was the EDC chair, working with town council and the business community in downtown Leesburg, and it wasn't just the venue owners, it was the property owners, that we all came together and set a vision for the downtown. The Downtown Improvement Association was formed, and over time, it was a long process, but finally we approved, or the town approved, widening the sidewalks, adding some improvements, but there was this broader vision of this arts cultural dining destination. And back then, everything closed at 5 o'clock. The biggest challenge was, you know, what do we do? Everyone's closing at 5. All the offices are being leased by real estate offices and law offices. And now, if you flip it around, the challenge is the sound ordinance, because there's so much life happening downtown. At least it was, and we got to get back to that place. The part that I'm disappointed with, quite frankly, is the recent situation with West Park. Not being able to review what are the options. Let's get the community together. Let's get staff together. Let's figure out what are the possibilities, whether the town purchases it or there's other options that we can consider to keep that space green. I just think that was an opportunity that was missed. I would love for the council to be able to work together to at least come to an agreement to let's explore the options instead of just reaching a stalemate.
Bill?
Well, once again, I agree with Ara on the West Park issue. But backing up, one of the things that I was very proud of our community was when Dominion Power wanted to extend its power lines, 110-foot towers and power lines westward from Leesburg out to Purcellville. The community came together, formed a group called Save the Trail, and we were able to route those power lines around the community so they wouldn't be in people's backyard and an eyesore. And B, we got Dominion to bury a good portion of that power line. And we saved thousands and thousands of trees along the W&OD trail. And so I'm very proud of our success with saving the trail. But like Ara, I'm very frustrated by our gridlock in the town council when it's come to dealing with the West Park issue. And I think we have a precious, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for us. And we do need to preserve that green space. And we need some good creative thinking about how do we preserve West Park without making it a tax burden to our residents. So I'm committed to finding a solution to that. I'm committed to ending the gridlock in town council and getting stuff done. When I was chairman of the Environmental Commission, that was our motto, get things done. Not always in those words, but I worked with Mayor Burk when I was chairman, and we got a lot done from watershed issues to recycling. And let's get West Park done.
Kari?
Thank you. The first thing that comes to mind for me on why I'm very proud of something in Leesburg is how wonderfully the residents come together to accomplish something that they feel very strongly about. And I am very proud to say that, you know, Southwest, especially as those on council know, will band together when they don't agree with something and really, you know, push what they think is right for the town and what they want as residents. And I'm very proud that I was part of, you know, helping make sure that the 96 townhomes that were proposed in West Park did not, you know, make it through because it just wasn't the right thing for the town of Leesburg and certainly not for the Country Club and West Park developments. One thing that I am disappointed in would be the infighting, the ability to, you know, Josh's seat was vacant back in May, the ability to not come to an agreement to fill that seat really sort of put a black eye on, you know, the town council for Leesburg and having to ask the circuit court to fill that seat. It was disappointing to see that, you know, they couldn't come together to make a decision. I do think that it's not for, you know, it's not totally lost that there's the chance to come together and provide real leadership and move the council forward. So, you know, I think I won't end on a negative note, but there's always room for improvement.
Kelly?
Yeah, I always have to remember I follow Kari. Yeah, you know, it's really hard for me to say one thing that we've accomplished. Even though the council has been divisive at different points, there's been a lot of things that we have achieved and a lot of things that we have done that we can be very proud of. When I first got elected, I sat down with the town manager, and one of the things that I emphasized to him was that Leesburg Town Hall needed to improve its customer service attitudes. We provide good service, but not good customer service. And I wanted that to be a huge priority that we started to work on, that the customer, we need to make sure that the customer is being dealt with fairly and with respect and dignity. And I think we've come a long, long way in that regard. And I'm very proud of the fact that our staff is very cognizant of it and works very hard to be polite and make sure that they're doing what they need to do to meet the needs of citizens that come into the town council. So that may be not something that you would see right away, that you would realize, but it is a significant change that was brought forward during this council time. You know, and we, you know, I could talk about the public art, the huge improvements we've made there. You know, the skate park, the strong communications with our business community, our improvement in diversity hiring. But I could go on, and there's just a lot that we really have done. And it gets lost sometimes in the divisiveness and the activities that some council members feel it's necessary to participate in. And I would say the most disappointing is absolutely West Park. If we lose West Park, that is the last of the open space in the southwest part of the town. And there's lots of things that we could have done. There's lots of discussion we could have had, and we were kept from doing that. There's ways we could pay for it, and we never got to that point. We don't even know the value of it because we weren't allowed to get to that point. And that is something that is desperately needed to change. Thank you.
Ron?
Thank you. Wife and I and family have lived here for almost 20 years, and I think we're most proud of our people. Not the individual accomplishments or achievements of a council, but I've seen our people be resilient. I've seen them celebrate. I've seen the diversity of celebrations. I've seen the caretaking in this community. People value where they live and how they live, and no matter who they are or what their life conditions are, they want the best for their family, their friends. They want the best for their jobs and businesses. I've seen people invest in this community and continue to invest despite the times that we're in. And that continues to encourage me to work extremely hard for each and every member of this community. What I'm not proud of, and it was mentioned, is that we fail because of politics. We failed for a temporary appointment, and it's simply just politics. And I think it did a disservice to this town in too many ways to mention. I think another thing I'm not proud of is the refusal of this current council to work with the Loudoun County NAACP on a new memorandum of understanding. Again, politics. And we can talk diversity all day long, but we don't have any council actions to back that up. Whatever that diversity we think may look like in hiring, I can tell you it's in terms of 1 or 2s, not in terms of percentages, not in terms of any representation as it impacts the number of people that live in our community. So there are a number of human issues that have to be addressed, and they have to be addressed more than just saying now we're going to start to do something because of the disparities and that have been realized through COVID-19. This always has to be a part of our landscape to reinvest in people in this community.
All right, now we'll get into some more specific issue questions, and a number of them have been touched on, but hopefully we can get a little deeper and a little bit more specific about what you will do as a candidate, as a council member. And so we start with Ara on this one. And we've heard it tonight, and we know the council has been criticized at times for its inability to compromise, to work together to find resolution on certain things. The vacancy was the latest example. How can the next town council work together? And more specifically, how will you work to make sure that that doesn't happen, going forward?
Thanks. Well, a few things. I could tell you a story. So back when I was the economic development chairman 10 plus years ago, we had a very divided commission. We had appointees that were appointed very specifically to end economic development in the town, to end the commission and the department completely. And despite that, we were able to actually come together and get things done, right? Like Bill mentioned, get things done. And my approach to this is having clarity of vision. If you know, if the goal is up here and you're focused on the goal, you're not dealing with the details and the politics down in the weeds, you can achieve those goals, put those things aside. And there may be things that you disagree on, which is perfectly fine, but have civil discourse. Don't let this get divisive and get personal. We could have discussions. We could We can disagree about things, but if we can agree upon the overall goal, let's put the town first. And what are the priorities for the town that as a council that we can agree upon? And if the initiatives, the opportunities that arise align with those priorities, then let's discuss how we can do that. And we may not agree on how we're going to do it, but at least let's have that discussion and agree to disagree if it happens. Going back to economic development, with that group, I mean, we were able to set priorities. Mayor Burk mentioned a few things like the customer service focus with the town. That was an amazing program that we worked with the town on. The arts and cultural district with the town, the downtown improvements, the George Mason Enterprise Center. All of these things happened with a very divided Economic Development Commission, but we were able to put our differences aside and focus on the broader vision, and that's how you get things done.
Bill?
Once again, I have to agree with Ara. When I chaired the Environmental Commission, we had a couple of members, one in particular that was there to provide a roadblock for any progress on the environmental front. Yet we found a way to make that progress and come together to institute recycling in the town and protect our rivers and streams and the watershed. And thanks largely to Kelly Burke's involvement with our commission. And, you know, we have a slate of Zach and Ara and Kelly and I are all backed by the Democrats, but I have to tell you, I'm nonpartisan. This is a nonpartisan role. I will work together with Kari, with Ron, if they happen to be elected, with Suzanne on council. At least half of my friends are Republicans, even though I'm backed by the Democratic Party. They're not lesser friends in my book. And, you know, I think what's important is that we engage with civility and we talk about things. We work in a cooperative fashion. I know I can do that with Kelly and Ara and Zach. I trust we can get beyond our political differences, should it be working with Ron and Kari. But I'm committed to getting stuff done. As we said before, we need to end the gridlock and really cooperatively be as productive as we can be on council. And I'm committed to that.
Kari?
Thank you. So in my job every day, I manage over 150 people, which, naturally leads to a lot of peer mediation and that sort of thing. So I think when it comes to ensuring that the council works together and what can I bring to the table to show that I, don't have a political agenda, I won't be divisive. I'm just here to represent the citizens of Leesburg, regardless of, who or, what they think or vote for. But I think that relationship management is huge. Sometimes things get miscommunicated or you take an email the wrong way. Picking up the phone and having a conversation with someone is huge, or calling them and saying, hey, let's meet for coffee so that we can talk about this agenda item that I think you and I might agree on. I think just the ability to talk to each other and not get up on the dais on the day, of the meeting and having seen the packet, reviewed it for a week, but not having talked with, or conferred with your other council members. That's where, sometimes the divisiveness can come out. And, sometimes it might not even be intentional, but you get frustrated because you've worked really hard on something. So I think a lot of it is relationship management, down to its core. It's just being able to work together in a positive manner, picking up the phone, calling, making sure that regardless of how you're going to vote and whether you're even going to vote the same way, you've at least had a professional conversation.
Kelly?
Yes, well, everybody has made some really good points. You know, when I was teaching, it was known throughout the building that I would get the most difficult students with the most difficult parents, and it was on purpose because I learned very early to work with those children and the parents because we had a goal. We wanted to achieve something, and we may not have agreed all the time, but we had a vision of what we wanted. And I have been on the town council, on previous town councils, a number of them now. I have been on the board of supervisors. I've been a minority member. I've been a majority member. I've been, and the thing that in all of those cases, and there have been some very difficult people on these boards and councils, but the difference that is among us now is that whatever happened on the dais, when the vote was taken, it was done. It was over with. And then you moved on. And there wasn't any we looked at things from the perspective of what is good for the town. And that's what I want to continue to do. As I said, we have accomplished many things, but there's been other divisive issues that once they're decided, you know, there's been some back and forth that hasn't been very pleasant, and we need to work with each other, and we need to be able to respect each other, and we need to know that the other person is not conniving and has other plans. We need to know that when that vote is taken, it's taken and it's over and we move on. And as I said, and many of us know some of the contentious individuals that have moved on. But they all understood that, and we worked well together in achieving what we needed to achieve. So I hope we can get back to that. Thank you.
Ron?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. So I see the job of the mayor is providing fair and impartial leadership to all members of the council, the town staff, and the Leesburg community. And you asked, what are we going to do that? So these are not my desires. This is what I would do. The first thing we do, I think, to foster dialogue and relationship is have a strategic planning retreat, things that the current council will not vote for in favor of now. Now we have to come together to agree on an agenda. We don't make it up every 2 weeks, and be able to have this kind of dialogue off the dais where we can actually speak to each other and not just about time limits, and don't manage the conversation to a time limit. We manage it to a purpose. So with a strategic planning retreat, we can develop those purpose, and we can develop those opportunities for all of us to be equally engaged. So one of the things I would also do through this strategic planning retreat is to allow everybody to get credit. Not one person does anything. We all vote as individuals, so it doesn't fall on the mayor to take all the credit for what happens. It's all of us to be able to participate. And that allows us, I think, to build bridges, irregardless of how votes go, that we had an equal opportunity to participate, to engage, to share what it is that we're thinking, and to even gain votes. That might be difficult to gain every now and then. So it's not just a dialogue that happens on the dais. I think you heard it before, absolutely right. It's also a dialogue that takes place off the dais. And I would continue to encourage, as you get your agenda packets, for people to talk in teams of two to each other, ask questions, and really be ready to explore in depth a conversation as we deal with many important issues. Because not all of them are divisive, they're just differences of opinion.
Zach?
Yeah, thank you. So I think the idea of how to do this, how to work together, I think it's the numbers, the math is gonna make it interesting, because we're gonna have 3 fresh new faces on council starting in January. So I think that fresh blood will help, no matter who is Kari, Ara, Bill, myself. That will help create a new dynamic on council. Additionally, Stephen Covey says, seek first to understand. My personal philosophy is if I have a difference of opinion with someone, or we have a difference, I want to understand where they're coming from. I want to talk to them and get into where, why they feel this way about an issue, and we can have a discussion. And like Kari mentioned, that means talking on the phone, talking individually before you get to the dais and are staring at the agenda. And to me, that's incredibly important. I've worked around politicians before and elected officials, and the most successful ones are those that are dialoguing continuously across the aisle, talking to different people, because that's where you get the best ideas. That's where you gain knowledge, is by putting yourself into an uncomfortable conversation with someone who doesn't just happen to agree with you, but maybe disagrees with you, and you can learn, and both sides learn. And that's what we need to do, because our town is growing at a rate that we don't know. Even through COVID, we're still seeing businesses open. We're still seeing things happen. And we have to have a council that acts in a way that we can continue moving our town forward. And I think, come in January with new fresh blood, that will help, but we also all have to commit to one another, to work together, to create a vision and push forward.
All right, this is another one everybody's talked about a little bit tonight, and it's coming to Bill first. But the West Park property, by now you've all had time to think of what you would do for that. So, is it part of, do we preserve the property as part of a development plan, which is profit or donated? Is it is the town willing to, should the town invest taxpayer money to purchase the property? Should it just be left as a floodplain in private hands? What do you want to do? Bill?
Well, I have some ideas, but I think first and foremost, we need to engage town staff in a study and really look at the options there. And then we need to engage the community. We need to get the feedback from all of the residents of Leesburg, especially those in Southwest. And I used to live in Woodley Manor, and my home back to the 5th green at West Park. And I happen to be a golfer. I love golf. I hated to see the golf course go away. I've played many around there. And I think there still is the potential for some good creative thinking around golf, because it wouldn't take that much to restore some of the course. But I don't think an 18-hole golf course is the answer. There is all sorts of new demand in golf for 9-hole courses, 12-hole courses. There are, you look at Top Golf, a brand new innovation in golf. What about doing an 18-hole putting course on the property somewhere? There are ways to make it even a revenue generating opportunity while maintaining the green space of West Park. And I think there are opportunities that we need to explore for a public-private partnership so that we can minimize the town outlay and see if we can get some, let's say Microsoft, who is coming to town. Perhaps West Park becomes Microsoft Park. Who knows? But we need to look at the options. We need to get town staff involved. We need to get the community involved. And we need to do that soon before we lose West Park to a development.
Kari?
Thank you. Well, this question is near and dear to my heart because West Park just happens to be my current backyard. I live, right off the 2nd hole and 8th putting tee. I'm not sure I'm saying those right because I'm not a golfer, but there are a lot of ideas, I agree, that we could do with West Park. I think first and foremost, just what I've noticed since COVID, more families are out and about walking, enjoying the space. So I think a community park would be a huge benefit, right? But we need to do it the right way. We need to either, sit down and look at how much it would cost the town to just outright buy the property ourselves, and then maybe even resell the commercial portion to make up, the money for the park. Or maybe we build something that's revenue generating, like a mini Italy on the commercial portion, and then that makes up for, the public park. I don't think that, that we're at a huge risk for a developer to develop the 130 acres or so of floodplain simply because of the financial cost it would take a developer to put into that land. 27 homes are able to be built on that land right now by right, and we haven't seen a developer yet do that. So, I think that we have some time. We don't need to rush necessarily, but we can explore the opportunity of how either the town buys the full property, build something revenue generating, resells, whatever it is, that we can maintain West Park as a park. There are definitely options, I think, that we don't have to necessarily look to the development community for.
Kelly?
Well, this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. West Park, as I said, is the last open space that we've got in the southwest part of Leesburg. And previously, there was a development plan there, and they wanted to put 96 townhomes in the commercial area, which is a prime commercial area that is very good for the town to keep as commercial. But they wanted to be rezoned to the 96 townhomes, and they would give us the park. Well, it wasn't a give at all. There was a huge price associated with it, and the town council turned it down. This new proposal that came forward, the person would put it in a conservation easement. They would have kept the commercial aspect of it, and then we could have done whatever we wanted. We would have had to purchase it, but it would have been for us to use. We could have created, and I don't think the town council should determine what it is. I think the community should determine. So we should get the community together, and they would have decided 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 20-year plan. But we weren't allowed to do that. It ended up being stopped, so we didn't get the chance to talk about it. We didn't get the chance to talk about, could we do tree banking? Would that bring us enough money to cover the cost? Could we do nutrient banking? Because it does have a floodplain. That brings in a great deal of money to a lot of nonprofit groups that have property. Could we get some sort of financing through the owner? How much is it worth? What is the value of it? We didn't get to any of that discussion, and we lost the opportunity. The contract has not been, September 15th is when it ended. And from my knowledge, it is a developer that has put the new contract on. But we'll see what ends up happening there. But what a shame if we lose it. We should do everything we can to keep it, and we should have that discussion, and we should be willing to look at different options in different ways to get the park. Thank you.
Ron?
So just reflect on a moment of transparency here. When the developer brought the deal after a conversation with the mayor, it was brought to the council on a very short timeline to respond because of the developer's timeline, the proposed purchaser's timeline of July 1st. I decided rather than wait, I met with the proposed purchaser, talked about a public-private partnership or other ways rather than at this unique time, COVID-19, we're just informed of a $4 million deficit for FY20, already projected $7 million deficit for FY21, that this was not the right time for us to have an expenditure of this sort. This wasn't the priority. I worked with the developer, proposed buyer, and said, if you will give us the time, if you can get an extension till September, I'm willing to talk and discuss other options on how we can move forward. When it came time for us to have the meeting about other options, the only thing that some council members wanted to talk about was the old plan that was on the table to purchase, not moving forward with different strategies, different solutions. And that was voted down, absolutely voted down. This was not the time for us to go exploring. We talked with town staff about their energies and where their priorities needed to be, and it was not doing studies about West Park. So a refusal to move forward in an appropriate fashion for an appropriate time. This was not the time just to talk about West Park. It was also time to talk about our town and the crisis that we were in. No one wants to lose public space, but we also have to do it the better way. And my conversation with other members of the community also felt similar, even from the Southwest community, that we had other urgent priorities rather than just buying something for a proposed price that we weren't even sure was the right price.
Zach?
Yes, thanks. Obviously, everyone, and everyone supports green space. So I agree that it's, when we're almost 97, 98% built out as a town, we have to, any opportunity to try to preserve some space and keep it green is incredibly important. As someone who lives in the Southwest, I know, I see the conversations online and I hear from my neighbors and friends who live here that, it's a valuable, people love walking on it still, and they love seeing the animals that have come back. So it's an incredibly important piece of property for the town of Leesburg. And so what we're trying, what we have to do is come up with a solution. We can talk about and rehash all of, what's happened, but now we have to look forward, because the opportunity will come back for us to try to get West Park. And we have to be ready to go, and we have to have ideas that help offset the cost, because we cannot at this time burden the taxpayers with the full amount. So things like nutrient banking, tree banking, other opportunities to create revenue off of the land is important. But we have to be ready. We have to put aside what happened in the past and prepare for the future. And that's how you end the gridlock on council. You say, good game, on to the next one. And I think, moving forward with a vision, the next council will be able to do that. And hopefully we'll still have an opportunity to make a move at West Park to preserve that green space in a way that is cost effective for the town and for our citizens.
Ara?
Thanks, Norm. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there is a single person in the town who does not believe that should remain green space. I mean, I've had many conversations, and what I look at this is an amazing opportunity. Like I mentioned before, let's harness the brain power of the community. Let's look at what are all of the possibilities. Like Kari mentioned, does it make sense for the town to buy it and then sell off part of it to recoup funds for the park side of that? Does it make sense is it possible to proffer that in? But we need to look at some other ways with tax credits to earn revenue from the actual property. But we need to explore that. But rather than just the council try to figure it out or only staff, let's engage the community, because I know people in Southwest, this is a big deal. I mean, this is a big deal. It's a big deal I lived just outside of Southwest, and I walk my dogs through the paths, all the time. And it is a beautiful piece of land, and it touches so many neighborhoods. So let's look at this as an opportunity to bring the community together. Let's throw every possible idea out there, not only for uses, but also how is it going to be paid for? And is it worth the investment for the town, or do we be more reactive and see what developers propose? So I think we need to look at all the options, and then as a council, weigh them. This should be an exciting opportunity to get creative with this. And we use the word creative a lot tonight, which is awesome. The fact that we're all thinking along those lines, but we have to right now. It's such a critical time to adapt. And I understand the timing of things. Yeah, we're in a tough financial situation. So let's look at the big picture, what makes sense long-term, because there's always a limited window of opportunity. We just got to make sure that we don't miss that. But also be mindful as stewards of the town's finances. We got to make sure it's the right thing for the town.
There are a number of questions submitted that dealt with development issues or development, town planning and so forth. I'm going to try and wrap them into something. And there seems to be, there's criticism that the town council doesn't always follow its own development plans or its own vision, or that the town staff makes things too difficult for businesses to make the changes they need and so forth. So, and this start with Kari on this one. Do you think there is a clear vision for the town's development policies? The Crescent District and what we're doing in East Market Street, and is there something that do you believe in that needs to be implemented by the private sector when these investment opportunities come in?
Thank you. So I am currently the chair of the Planning Commission, and one of the things that the Planning Commission is tasked by Virginia code to do is create a town plan, and that town plan is required to be updated every 5 years. But we currently do not have an updated town plan. So one of the things that's in process as we speak is updating our town plan, which includes the town vision, over the course of the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So right now is our opportunity to say what we want Leesburg to look like 2 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. And I don't think that, that we don't not have a vision right now, if that makes sense. But Leesburg has grown so quickly over the last several years. I mean, just even the last 10 years, that the town plan that we did have in place, it just doesn't apply anymore. So we need to put something in place, modernize our code, get our codes modernized, our zoning. I have heard from the community, the business community, the development community, that they do encounter some red tape when it comes to trying to get packages through. So, maybe we sit down and have a work session with staff and say, how can we, improve our customer service from that standpoint. Right now we're a little bit stalled with development because of COVID-19. So it's the perfect time to really put our heads down and work on our town plan so that we can say, hey, here's what we want the gateways to look like. Here's what we want the design to do. We're working on that right now. Here's what we want Leesburg to look like and what we need, the gaps we need to fill in when it comes to those things.
Kelly?
Yes, and I really want to congratulate Kari on her, being the chair of the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission is doing a very good job, and their recommendations that are coming forward to the council are just very valuable. And so we really appreciate all the hard work that Kari and the members of the Planning Commission are putting together. And that town plan, she's exactly right. That plan is very important to modernize and to get to put new visions and new ideas. And the consultant that's been creating it has done a really good job of reaching out to the community, even during this time, reaching out to the community, setting up meetings, trying to listen to what people want in different areas. As I'm knocking on doors, one of the things that you see is that each community within the town has its own unique feel and own unique designs, and every neighborhood is so different. It is just so interesting as you walk along and go to these different neighborhoods. And we don't want to lose that. We don't want to lose that small town feel that we belong here. This is, people care about us. This is where I live. And I think that's really what we're trying to accomplish with redoing this town plan. Sometimes I get a little skeptical when developers talk about that it's not, there's too much red tape. Sometimes I feel like maybe they feel like there's always too much red tape, because as much as we plan and try to accommodate them, it's still a difficult process, and it will be. But there's no reason not to sit down and have conversations as we begin the new term. I'm just I'm excited about the town plan. I'm excited how it's going to move forward and how we're going to end up ensuring that we stay as a small town, even though we are the largest town in the state of Virginia.
Ron?
Thank you. And the first thing I did when I came on council was to take the course run by Virginia Tech to become a certified planning commissioner. And that's where I started to really look at our town plan and understand, how dated it was, but also began to understand what our developers were starting to talk to about with, a vision of what they had, some of the problems of our planning staff and the planning commission. And I think our planning staff is among the best I've ever worked with. And I've worked with a lot from an institutional standpoint and not a municipal standpoint. But in terms of their willingness to be helpful, their willingness to deliver accurate and timely information to the council, and their ability to help us kind of negotiate what the developers are trying to offer us and where we think we're trying to go. I actually proposed the motion for the funding for the current town plan study, because I believed it was that necessary. That we do have to have an updated vision, not one that was created when we were 25,000, but now we're almost 53, 54,000. And so that new vision is certainly going to be a priority of looking at. This next council will have to deal with voting on that new town plan, that new vision, which I think will be helpful to our community. And now we have many more communities. We're a much broader town as well with different needs. And so sometimes developers are trying to figure out, you know, where we are on our votes, but that's not where it should be. They should be figuring out where they are on our vision and how they meet and match what this town really needs. So I think there's been a disconnect for some years, not necessarily, you know, fatal, because again, we have documents that were state mandated to work with, but at the same time, a clearer, a broader vision for a bigger town will certainly be helpful and beneficial as this town moves forward.
Zach?
As I've mentioned, you know, Leesburg is growing at a rapid pace. You know, it's slowed a little bit because of COVID-19, but it's still it's still growing, and it will continue to grow when we, you know, once we weather this storm. You know, a town plan is the vision, and we need to look at that, and we might need to consider looking at it more often than every 5 years. It's a large undertaking, but when you're growing like we are, and things are changing. I mean, you look at just from the COVID-19, what we're seeing office space and commercial space is changing, and the needs for office space especially is changing. You look at green space, you know, talking about West Park, seeing people out walking their dogs and then taking their kids to the parks, green space, that's changing, and housing is changing. People don't have to live where they work right now, especially, and I think that's going to continue into the future. Companies working from home. So with all of that changing right now because of COVID-19 and our growth moving forward, we need to be looking at this town plan, like others have said, as a vision, but also we need to be looking at it to see where we need to tweak and update as we go, because it is such a valuable document for the town, being used to talk when developers are looking at it, when homeowners are, you know, someone who owns a home looks at it, when other property owners are looking at it, when our small business owners look at it. We have to keep it updated and fresh, and we have to, you know, push our vision through it. And as a member of town council, I look forward to putting, you know, my mark on the town plan, but really it's the mark of the folks we're out talking to every day. And to me, that's the most important thing. And we have to find a way to create this vision of where we want to see Leesburg 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
All right.
Thank you, Norm. Yeah, I think I have the last town plan in the bookshelf behind me. That was quite a process. I read it every night before I go to bed. It's so entertaining and insightful. But interesting enough, I became re-engaged with the town during this town plan process. And it was remarkable because I was part of the prior planning process from economic development perspective. And it was very much within the commissions, and the amount of civic engagement and community outreach and community input during the process was absolutely incredible. I know that we had consultants at Ida Lee. People came in, looked at different styles, and there was a lot of trends that were developing over that time. I had the opportunity to actually go to Loudoun County High School with Scott Parker. We actually spoke to a number of civics classes and got input from students, because these students were seniors. They're going away to school for 4 years. Hopefully they come back. What do they want their town to look like when they return home to start families or start their careers? And so that was an interesting perspective. But as Zach mentioned, my one concern with the town plan where it is now, we still have an opportunity to refine it, is that in the post-COVID world, things have changed a little bit. The fact that more people are going to be teleworking, working remotely, commercial buildings may be used for different purposes rather than having one big company there where everyone essentially commutes. You might have more co-work space. People are going to be working from home, so they're going to want a more walkable community, more amenities, like a West Park that allows you to take a little walk during your lunch break or in the evening. So we need to as we come through and revisit the town plan. So I know it's pretty far along the process right now, but let's look at it from the new lens that of the next 5 to 10 years, which is changing. Our behaviors are changing. So let's look at how we can make it more walkable. Infrastructure is more relevant to today, and I do believe that much of that is already in place because that was a desire of the community.
Bill?
We are now at 8:16, and I have been reminded earlier to ask for a wrap up at this point.
Yeah,
So I'm going to turn it back over, but I just wanted to bring that up.
Bill hasn't answered that last question yet, and then we can wrap up.
I'll try and give a brief answer. I think the plan's very important. Town plan needs to be a dynamic, living, breathing document and needs to adapt not every 5 years, but every day, every week, every month. I think to Ara's point, things have changed in the wake of the pandemic. The workplace has changed forever. You look at the county parking garage, which is kind of an eyesore right down North Street from where I am, and sitting there empty and lit at night. I mean, the best laid plans is a phrase that we need to make sure we avoid the Achilles heel of execution. It's how we execute on the plans. And it's not just the gateways, they're very important, and we have 5 of them. East Market, West Market, 15 North and South, and then Edwards Ferry too. And it's not just the gateways, but how they're connected to the downtown area. And to Ara's point, I think green space, walkable community, we need to enhance both of those as we look at the plan moving forward. We've got a proposed data center on the east end of town and the gateway. And if you look at the data centers around the county, they're just an eyesore, they're a blight. And we need to look at our development, this healthy mix of residential and commercial with an aesthetic lens too. And really make it cohesive with the small town historic charm, which makes Leesburg so special.
Thank you. There's a lot we didn't get to tonight, but I appreciate the conversation that we did have. Lots of good ideas, and there's still time for the voters to get to you and ask for more detail on the things we didn't talk about. I think the plan was to do one round of closing statements real quick, and then
How
turn back to the
long?
league.
How long do we have?
I think it's probably a minute again.
Oh, a minute again. Okay. Am I starting?
Is that right, Anna? You good?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Yes, Kelly, let's start the top.
Okay. Well, thank you all very much for holding this event, and thanks all of you for coming tonight. There was a lot of interesting questions that came forward. And I want to thank Carol for keeping track of the time. You were good. I'm asking for your vote on November 3rd. Now, as the mayor, I value integrity, and I believe citizens should be able to rely on what the mayor says and does. And as mayor, if I sign a paper saying I'll do something, I will do it. You can count on me for that. With the pandemic, many of our service businesses are struggling. And as mayor, I want to continue to help those businesses make it through the pandemic and beyond. This will be my first priority. The town government is going to struggle. Our tax base is diminished by the pandemic, and we will need to manage our budget carefully. I'm proud that we've been able to maintain a reasonable tax rate these last 4 years and continue to provide the services that residents demand. As your mayor, I will continue to work on encouraging public art, acquiring the parks, maintaining safe neighborhoods, welcoming diversity populations, and to support town activities. And when this pandemic is over, I want Leesburg to be on the forefront of recovery. So I ask for your vote November 3rd. Thank you very much for being here tonight.
Ron?
I want to thank again League of Women Voters in Loudoun County. Everybody who had a hand in making this happen tonight. Norm, thank you. This is our 3rd time together. Thank all of you who've been watching. I want to say again, choice. Choice is the path to change the vision. And if you desire a change in vision, then you have to choose differently. I also want to say something about integrity. Integrity is more than what you put on paper, it's what people do. It's not just what people, and there's an implied relationship. So as you look on November 3rd, whether your relationship is to a party, your relationship is to the town, or your relationship is to however you value community, I believe that you have a choice to make, and you should be free to make that choice as your values and your integrity allows. November 3rd, Ron Campbell for mayor.
Zach?
Thank you, and thank you, Norm, and thank you to the League of Women Voters and everyone for being engaged in this tonight. It's an important, it's an important election. Not just everyone talks about the federal races, but down to the community, town level, it's incredibly important. So thank you. You can learn more about me at zachcummings.com, and you can connect with me if you have questions. Feel free to send them through my website. I'd be happy to answer on Facebook. As we embark on the next decade, Leesburg will continue to grow. The question for our town and our residents is, how high can we grow? We need a town council that is as extraordinary as our citizens. We need council members that have a vision to see our town's future, a future that includes small businesses, a future that has grown smartly with a focus on revenue generating development that fits our town makeup, and a town council that has put aside the petty politics of today for a tomorrow that exceeds even our own expectations. So on election day, or if you're voting early, I would love to earn your vote and be honored to serve you on council. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you once again, League of Women's Voters. This is really a great opportunity. Thank you, Norm. So I want to leave you with a final thought on my vision for the town, since we're talking about vision. And if this aligns with your aspirations, I would be honored to serve the town to help realize this vision with your participation. So this is it. So Leesburg is a walkable hometown with vibrant arts, culture, dining, and amenities that is an amazing place to raise a family, start a business or a new job, and enjoy for a lifetime. An inspiring canvas for the creative, a connected home for the innovative, and a supportive home for those who educate our children, serve our patrons, and sacrifice to keep us safe. A haven of opportunity, working together as a community to embrace challenges, diversity, and equity, to work towards a better future. So if that's something that you also feel, please, let's work together to help bring that to reality and really shape that. Thank you. Our2020.org. There we go.
Bill?
Thanks, Norm. And thanks, League of Women Voters and everyone who attended tonight. It's time to end the divisiveness on the town council and elect a team that's going to work together productively on the issues we face. We need to revitalize our local economy without jeopardizing the health of the community. We need to preserve green space and protect our environment without undue tax burdens or regulations. And we need to preserve the historic charm of our town while being smarter about our growth. We need to embrace diversity and create a more welcoming community for all. And we need to get out and vote to prove that our democracy is alive and well from King Street to Pennsylvania Ave. I thank you for your support. BillForLeesburg.com. You can learn more about me. Let's get out and vote and ride the blue wave.
Kari?
Thank you again to the League of Women Voters, to Mr. Styer, and to everyone who joined us tonight via Zoom. It's been a wonderful evening. I'd like to close out my time with a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He said, "If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward." This fall, let's vote to turn the page on petty politics, partisan squabbling, and personal agendas that only create gridlock. And let's pledge to work together. This fall, let's vote to keep our town moving forward, to preserve our way of life, and build a better future for this town that we all cherish and love. I'm Kari Nacy, and on November 3rd, I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for participating in this candidate forum. Thank you, Norm, for being a fantastic moderator again. And really, without the attendees, we would have no candidate forum. So thank you all. We would like to make sure that you all vote. And in order to find more about your candidates, we recommend that you go to vote411.org. And I also have been asked to tell you that the League of Women Voters supports the Constitutional Amendment 1, which is for redistricting. So I hope you will all learn more about what's on your ballot and make sure to vote whether early or on the day of the election. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rock the vote.
Is there anything else before we close out? All right, well then I'm going to end this meeting, and I do very much appreciate all of your attendance.
Stay healthy, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Careful.